The issue that I've heard most about in recent weeks from constituents in Glasgow North is the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas and the need for an immediate ceasefire. More than 700 emails at the last count, many, if not most, from constituents reaching out for the first time, appalled, horrified, sometimes even traumatised by what they're seeing on the news, especially for those who have friends or family in the region. Thousands of completely innocent children have been killed, by some counts 1 child for every 10 minutes of the conflict so far, and acts of what can only be described as collective punishment are being inflicted on people in Gaza by the government of Israel. And likewise, there is no justification for the atrocities perpetrated by Hamas, and nor is there any excuse for anti-Semitism in any form. At the end of the day, a lasting settlement can only come about through negotiation and a willingness to come to agreement. And that's why a ceasefire, which means that everybody involved ceases firing, has to be the start. It's not the position of the Prime Minister, it's not the position of the Leader of the Opposition, but it is the position of the UN Secretary-General, the UN General Assembly, the World Health Organization, Oxfam, Amnesty International, Scotland's First Minister, His Holiness Pope Francis, and the many, many, many constituents in Glasgow North who have reached out. They also want to see aid convoys allowed in, people who want to leave to be able to do so, and then legitimate representatives to get round a table and work out a route to peace. Peace, as Pope Paul VI said, is not merely the absence of war based on a precarious balance of power. It is fashioned by efforts directed day after day toward the establishment of the ordered universe willed by God with a more perfect form of justice among men. More succinctly, he said, if you want peace, you must work for justice. But the God that he spoke of is the God that is held to be true by Jews, Muslims and Christians alike. The God who teaches in their holy books that we should treat each other as we ourselves wish to be treated. And in that golden rule of reciprocity lies the route to peace in the Middle East, and indeed to peace and justice around the world, in Afghanistan, in Ukraine, in Sudan and in so many other places. He said in response to our honourable friend that he wants Israel, the government of Israel, to comply with international human rights law, and that he encourages the government of Israel to comply with international human rights law. But he didn't answer his question. Has the government made an assessment of whether or not the government of Israel is complying with international human rights law?
Minister.
Well, it's not for the government, Mr Deputy Speaker, to make such an assessment. It is for the lawyers and a court to make that assessment. But the critical thing is that Britain makes it clear that all countries must abide by international humanitarian law and the rules of war.